Why is Hex better than Bitcoin? Well, first of all, it's the fundamentals of the code. The fundamentals of the code are better than Bitcoin's fundamentals. The inflation model is better than Bitcoin's inflation model. The staking feature is better than a mining feature. It's new tech versus old tech. It's decentralized versus centralized. Yes, all of those things. All right, well, ahoy, crypto pirates, hexicans. How you all doing tonight? Hello to the chat room. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you all filling up the room. Tweet it out. Get people coming here. Because guess what? I think I've got a ally in parenting around here in this crypto space. It's nice. Like I actually got a mature gentleman about my age that wants to talk about social literacy and Web3 and all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm going to bring him up here in just a second, but thanks for showing up, everybody. Been a long week, been a week of mad gains for all of the ecosystem. Congratulations. Looks like the bull market is setting in nicely, like we've all planned for, understood was coming, knew was coming. We've looked at the math over and over and over again. And like we said, here it comes. And your institutional money you've all been praying for, that you've all been ushering in with thunderous applause, is coming. So BlackRock's coming to save you guys. Fidelity, Schwab, they're all coming. JP Morgan, and maybe even the SEC might help you out a little bit and give them a little pat in the ass on the way in the door here, so you guys can have all those mad gains and probably just sit there and look at it and watch them dump on your heads and then end up with a handful of garbage for the next 3 or 4 years. But maybe you won't. Maybe you'll listen to us and dollar cost yourself out a little bit, take some profits, and hunker down for the next set of rainy days. All right, guys. So we have a social media warrior here. I've watched some of the streams, saw people who've spoken with him, and he's got a unique take on things here. And he's talking to people who have unique takes on things. And he wants to talk Web3, but he's a 2-time international best-selling author. He's made an award. He has an award-winning film. So we get to talk about filmmaking, I guess, a little bit, because we aren't award-winning, but we have made a film. He is got a YouTube channel called the World's Mayor's Experience, and his name is Joshua T. Berglan. And let me bring up Joshua so we can get a little chat going on here. Maybe slap you guys around a little bit. Hey, Joshua, how you doing?
How you doing, man? It's good to be here. Thank you so much for introducing me to your amazing community. I've been poking around a little bit, and you all have something special here. I don't understand what it is that you all do yet, but you're doing something special. So kudos. It's not easy to pull together an ecosystem, and you guys have something special.
Well, thanks for that, because maybe you can help us kind of decipher what's going on here, because in the world of crypto, a lot of us have been here for a long time, since 2009, 10, when Bitcoin came out, and over the last few years, we've saw a lot of market manipulation and capitulation and ups and downs, and what young markets do is high highs and low lows, and so we've been dealing with all that. But the social construct of crypto is very unique and different than any other marketplace or investment asset group out there, because there's no real, when it comes to a decentralized cryptocurrency, there's no real company or person or group of people that are supposed to be behind it. Now, that's not what's going on in this space. There are a lot of centralization and stuff going on. But the community was supposed to develop, teach, bring the new users in, and distribute the information, disseminate it out to the rest of the world. And that's basically what we've done here. This is, all of us work for free. We've all just got a hold of a lot of us who've been around for a long time, got a hold of a crypto that we realize is different and better than anything that we've seen out there. So that's what we've been doing is just developing a community and trying to get some momentum behind it. So that's all we've done here, really. That's who we are.
Can I ask something really quick?
Yeah.
Everyone volunteers, no one's getting paid. So
Yeah.
would you suggest that people are bringing their time, talent, or treasure to the table, and everyone kind of gets in where they fits in, they play a role, but they're doing some function, and by playing or using that function or utilizing that function, they've earned a spot into the ecosystem. Is that correct?
Exactly. Well, a spot within the community,
Okay.
let's just say, you know.
Okay, this is good. So I need that baseline, and here's why. Because I don't understand the blockchain as far as the numbers and any of that stuff, the concept of it, and from an overall capability, what it'll all look like in the future, I understand it. But these intricacies of the financial side of it, I don't really know. But the system, the ecosystem that you have is essentially kingdom, and you're honoring kingdom principles, a kingdom lifestyle, kingdom way of living. And we are a part of a similar thing on the financial capital side of things. And there's a bunch of different businesses and other groups all over the world that are a part of this. And we are all working together for the greater good to make the world a better place. Is this still similar to what you're doing?
Exactly what we're doing.
Okay,
exactly.
Good. Then we are aligned, and then anything from this point on will have that common understanding. This is beautiful. So again, forgive me for not, it's ignorance. I just don't know, but super grateful to be here and learn.
Well, the cool thing is that, and what I've been trying to teach the community is that we can all learn from each other, because everybody has value. You know, we all have different life experiences. I look at you, and I'm not going to say, you know, you look old or whatever, but I know you're of a certain age and you've been around for a while. And to do what you've done, obviously you've been in some places, and your story must be very interesting. And that's what I like to find out is, you know, what are people's stories? Where do they come from? So how can I tap into what they have? Because not only could I utilize you within the community constructs, but I can also learn from you. So a lot of people like to go at folks and try and gotcha them and see if they fit somewhere. And if not, I'm gonna, you know, knock them out. I don't understand this social way of the world today. So I always try and find the positives and the good in people and see whether or not we align and we can help make the world a better place together, and what I can learn from. So maybe you can just like kind of give us your story a little bit and where you came from, why you're where you're at today, and how you got even involved in coming close to, you know, wanting to look at crypto, Web3 or whatever, you know?
Oh boy. Okay. So I wasn't, not that I need to be mentally prepared to tell my story. It's the framing of the story that, like, I don't know, what's the age group demographic of your audience? Because
Everything and everyone is
okay.
here.
Okay, yeah, because again, I just don't want to be, it's intense. So
Yeah. And we've done the same thing here. You know, I'm a guy that grew up in the streets of LA.
oh, you know something.
Ended up, you know, needing to I lived under the bridge. The story's known around here, and pulled myself up out of poverty and drug addiction and all that kind of stuff, and been sober for the last 29 years, raised a family, worked a blue collar job, and now I have businesses on the side, own 4 crypto businesses, and things are growing, and I don't work for the man anymore. So that's my story. So go ahead. The sky's the limit here.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I've been homeless in LA too. In fact,
oh shit, we might have known each other out there then.
I was very fortunate my homeless experience in LA. But that said, you know, that's LA is a special place to me. That's it's always home in my heart because it's where I died and it's where I found life. And I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about a lot of dark stuff. But long story short, when I was young, I was 7 years old. The age of 7 for me was like the worst nightmare you can imagine. Just for being abandoned, my sister's leaving, disappearing, in my mind, disappearing. Like I didn't know why they left. And I thought this whole time, like for over 20 years, I thought it was something that I did. But also right after that, that's when the physical abuse from my father happened. The just brutal abuse, but then being molested by men and women. And, so the really the sexual abuse and the physical abuse wreaked havoc on me. And, it's really interesting. And I don't want to get lost in the weeds here, but I think about all of these horrific things that had happened to me. And then I think about that turning point in my life when I became the monster. Like I became the chemsex addict that was, because the first time I did drugs, I was addicted to sex and drugs, like all at the same time. But, and then there's just, it's a death spiral from there. Like it doesn't get better over a 20-year period. It gets so dark and graphic, and it's all in my book. And if you can't afford my book, I'll give it to you for free. So if you want the details, it's in The Devil Inside Me. Look up my name. It's also on my website. But there's this turning point where we're the victim, and then we turn into the monster. But it all to me begins where the real turning point is when we're growing up and we're raising our children and we're telling them to tell the truth, but then we lie to them. We lie to them about Santa Claus. We lie to them about the Easter Bunny. We lie to them about why mommy and daddy are not talking. We lie to them about why there was a violent crash at night. Why were you screaming, help me? Like what? We lie about those things to our kids, the same kids that we tell the truth. So it's no wonder that when something bad happens to us as children, and that person says, if you say anything, I'm going to fucking kill you, or I'm going to do something horrible to you, you lie. And so then you don't say anything. And then as men, whoever decided this crap, that it wasn't cool for men to cry, whoever decided that it wasn't cool for men to talk about their feelings, and whoever decided that if it to make it where if you're another guy and you say that you're attracted to another guy, that you need to be called names, picked on, and abused for it. Like there's a lot of just really screwed up things that happen to us, but it centers around not telling the truth. Like we don't create an environment that welcomes people to tell the truth. And what I hope with everything in me, that I believe in the future that we all have to be media organizations. And it makes sense, but it's easier than ever to be a media company, and you don't even need money to do it in the Web3 space where we have this opportunity to be free, because you will need to be independent media to have any sense of freedom at all. But then the hope that we have of Web3 of and again, I'm not an expert on crypto, so don't make fun of me for this. But if we don't have the right coin or whatever it may be, like we have this hope that is our ticket to freedom, not being regulated and not being, treated like slaves. Slaves, because we're all slaves in the current financial system we're in. So like I'm hoping that with this opportunity of freedom and independence that we have, all of you trailblazers that have been in this space establish a foundation of truth and honesty. And it's okay to fucking be weird. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be yourself. And we can just celebrate each other's differences instead of mocking each other and treating people like shit because of it. And my story is simply that. I became a monster. I became a horrible person. And yeah, I turned my life around. And let me tell you, it's a lot harder to turn your life around than it is just to do the right thing from day one. It is much easier to do that. I promise you. So
Amen.
anyway, I'm grateful to be here. And I'm not, again, I don't really want to talk that much about my story. It's gross, but it all gets
Yeah.
back to just be honest. And here's the thing that's really, really cool about the universe, about God, about whatever you want to believe in. And y'all, whatever religion you are or not religion, you can test this theory. You can try your own truth on for size, like your truth. You're living your truth, you're being your truth, and it can be whatever that is. If you're an asshole, then be an asshole and walk that out. Be that, own it, own it, own it, own it. Just be it and live that way, and then see what happens. Because here's the magic in this. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, if that's not really who you are and what your purpose is, God, the universe, whatever you want to say it, has this funny way of taking the truth and hitting you in the face with it.
Yes.
And
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because you had me worried for a minute when you were telling all of my people to just be assholes, because we got plenty of assholes in there. And
no, because in the end, it's about love, and it is about love, and it's not about, listen, you don't have to accept somebody being an asshole. So it's not about acceptance, but it is about love. And it's about loving what you do, loving in the actions that you take, whether it's serving, volunteering, like love that volunteering. And that is like the ultimate, like enriching of the soil, is when you're pouring your love into another person, into a project, into something that you like, especially when you have been created with these gifts and talents that are unique to you. And then you have this opportunity with you take your intellectual property, and then you take your gifts and your talents and the way that you love to express it. And you have this way of bringing something to life out of that. Like that is a miracle. And that is this beautiful thing that we all have the opportunity to do. But we can't do that. And more people won't do it if we're so hypercritical of everything, if we make fun of people, we criticize them when they fail. How about this? How about we start lifting up people? And when we see them fail or we see them messed up, we say something encouraging instead of something negative. And how about this? And then more people will be encouraged to tell the truth. And then when they tell the truth about what's going on, they're going to attract their tribe. And what you all have created here, and this is where I'm done, but what you all have created here is a truth-speaking tribe. And look what you've built. So I'm blessed to be here, and I'm done. I'm done with my rant.
Well, thanks.
I was a preacher, by the way, so sometimes I get a little winded. Or
I come from a family of preachers. I wasn't a preacher, but I come from a family of preachers. So I want to back up to part of your monologue there that you got into, and let's talk about being our own media. Because that's what we're all doing here. There's about 140 of us now in this community that are actually streaming on YouTube, presenting what it is that we're doing, our take on crypto, Web3, blockchain technology, all that. And we have a thought leader who brought these cryptos to fruition. His name is Richard Hart. And so we've kind of built the whole social construct of the internet media thing here based on the things that he's given us, the tools that he's given us. Sometimes people call us a cult, but it just happens to be this guy is a smart man in the cryptocurrency community, and you don't see too many of those. He has a lot of different things going on as far as his worldviews. He's wrote books also. He's a self-help author. He's trying to help make the world a better place. He's come up with some really incredible cryptocurrencies that have started to change people's lives. So we've started this media group, all of us streaming, trying to get the word out. Now, you and I both know, I know a lot of the younger people in here don't understand politics and what has happened to our government and our businesses and the media the media especially is so untalked about, so important. There's a handful of companies that own all of our media. You and I used to get up to the TV, and there was like 2 news stations where we flipped the channel, spun the dial, and you didn't have a remote back then, and you watched the news, and you trusted the news at that time because socially they were supposed to do this, say this much of this and say this much of that, and things were different. And then all those rules and everything have been blown out over the last, say, 3 decades.
Oh, gee.
And now a handful of companies own the newspapers, the radio stations. I used to work for a radio station in LA, K-Rock.
Nice.
It was
Really?
yeah, it was just a regular radio station at the time. Well, that's where my demise started, was there. But
Imagine.
so I was there when it was just kind of the first corporate handover. Infinity Broadcasting bought them, and I saw the conglomerations, changing the way things were in that radio station, the culture, the business atmosphere. Everything went from being fun and informational and all this other stuff to corporation says, say this, say that, say this, say that. And then they eventually they changed to the bigger, I forget who owns them now, but K-Rock is like a big name all over the globe. I think they're headquartered out of New York now, and it's not Infinity Broadcasting, another big media group that owns them. But we've lost all of our media sources, and now it's up to us as humans. How do you guys have a plan for that, and how we should all move forward and advance our media outlets?
Yeah, so I'm no longer an evangelist at a church, but I am an evangelist for this. It's independent media. So there's this book, and I've talked about it a lot recently, but it's been my belief. But then I found this book at the Goodwill of all places. It's a giant book. It's called Neo Think, Neothink. And it's the secret of the world, the secret of the world book, how the world works, how life works, wrapped into a children's story. And it is awesome. It is amazing. It's one of my favorite books ever. That and Code of the Extraordinary Mind. And I love the Bible, but that book, Neothink, is something else. But there's a quote in that book. And when I read it, I started crying. I was on the beach in Minnesota. Yeah, we have beaches in Minnesota. But I'm crying because it's like been my calling card and like part of my mission. And it says, the power that lies in the hands of a few will be just broken apart, destroyed, and smashed into millions of pieces. It's talking about media. And I don't know if the powers that be that knew this was going to happen when they were making their master plans of Agenda 2030 and things like that. But with all of the technology that's available, and we don't have real 5G yet, but with the technology that we have available, especially for free or little to no money, I don't know if they knew that they were setting us up to all be media companies, because media controls the narrative. Whatever the media says, that's what people go along with. And that will always be the case. And here's the problem. It's a blessing and a curse. Like, now we can all podcast. Well, there's a lot of idiots with microphones.
I was going to say that.
But because they have a microphone, because they have the courage to get on camera and say some stuff, some schlep is going to believe them. And they're not going to take the time to read past anything. A prime example, and I think clips, and I use clips, like clips of interviews and things. Clips are going to clips destroy context. Like, that is a huge problem that we have. And even that is a form of manipulation. Like, I'm listening to my own clips going, there's so much more to it, but I've got to fit this in 30 seconds. And so you kind of miss the point. So, like, I've got people thinking I'm supporting polygamy, and maybe I am, I don't know, but they think that because of a clip and it's not even me talking. It's someone else who's telling a story about something else, but because you don't have the whole context, it's missing. So anyway, here's my point of all that. is we have to make long form content cool again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to be people that are telling the truth. And here is what I mean by telling the truth. I don't know shit. I don't know anything. This is what I experienced. This is what I saw. But as far as knowing absolute truths, like, I'm not here to spread conspiracy. I was that truther guy, not anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know anything.
Exactly.
Like, I don't really know, because of how things can be manipulated. I don't really know what I think I know. So part of the responsibility of independent media is this: don't report the news. Just talk about your own stuff and what you're doing and what you're creating, and be authentically you. Like, now is this beautiful opportunity. This is the cool opportunity that we have available for us. And I pray that this encourages all of you to seize this opportunity. There's been no time in history like now where we have an opportunity, regardless of what you've done, regardless of how big of a piece of shit that you were in your past, no matter if you are a convict, no matter if you are a former human trafficking victim. I don't care if you're mentally ill. I'm mentally ill. I know it, mentally ill. I'm disabled mentally ill. And guess what? I can still live the life of my dreams, have the woman of my dreams, with the family of my dreams. And you know why? Because I know media. Media is that vehicle that not only I can't get a regular job. I have challenges. There's a lot of people that have certain challenges. But what I can do is use media to provide value in a way that, to whatever that crowd is, it doesn't need to be 20 million people. It doesn't need to be, there's no more Tom Cruises of this world. There's the days of mega celebrity is over. So really, the pressure to try to succeed and go, like, be greater than the top influencers, all that shit's fake anyway. And so just be yourself. And be yourself. Operate your gifts and your talents, and utilize your intellectual property to be able to make a life for yourself. Then that you can use media, books, blogs, podcasts, live streams, videos, straight to camera, sponsorship videos. You can do anything, make commercials. You can write books. You can do anything. You can create products, swag. And then you've got this whole other universe that I don't even understand yet. But every time I go up in it, I'm going, wow, this is a whole world to explore and to create and provide value. And every one of you have that opportunity. And if you step into it fully, that is how we change media. All of us together. It's not about reporting the news, because unless if you're like right there in front of it, there's no news to tell, because you don't really know. And who cares what all that other shit is anyway? I want to hear stories from you.
Yes.
It's like a neighborhood newspaper. That's what Jessica just said. Say hi, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
All right.
Exactly. I love that, because now that we do have our hands wrapped around this tool, and everybody with a microphone and a computer and a camera can get up there and say whatever it is that they want. I did a little monologue the other day where, just because you have the ability to do so, doesn't mean you should be, and doesn't mean that the things that you're saying are going to be helpful. And please use discernment when getting out there in front of that and just spouting out whatever you want. Or, like you said, reporting something that they think is news that harms others or other companies or anything, government, anything out there, that you just take some information that you think is true or want to be true and go and slap people around with it, is not doing anybody any good.
You're right.
And I like what you said. Stay in your lane, man. Stay in your lane, do your thing, show people who you are and what you think, and go out and report what you got going on and what the people around you are doing. I think that's, like you said, that's the way that we're going to need to do it. The problem, I think, is the gatekeeping from the theys. Now, my community likes to throw around they a lot. They are going to do this and they are doing that.
Wait, are you
And they
talking about pronouns or are you talking about? Just kidding.
No, I'm talking about the evil governments and the evil people that are ruling over them or lording over them. And I've been trying to explain to my audience that, I know what broke our contract with our government, the people that we have here. And it's a little thing called Citizens United. And that thing has taken all of our power of our votes away and our ability to run our government, and has made money the forefront of that. Money controls our government. Money controls the laws. Money controls where the taxes do and don't go. And we have no say-so in it anymore. And because of that, they were able to conglomerate the media companies into the hands of 2 or 3 people. They were able to take the things like the phone companies, which belong to us. I don't think people understand that the phone companies belonged to us, the people of this country. And one of the greatest tools that this country has ever put, one of the greatest things this government has ever done, they've been trying to destroy for the last few years, and it's the US Post Office. One of the greatest things that we had given to us and we owned as people of this country, and they are trying to destroy it. You guys,
do you know about the subsidies? I can't say that word. Forgive me. That we pay China.
The subsidies, yes.
So you know about what we like?
Well, there's a bunch of subsidies out there, but yeah.
Well, yeah. So basically, China's able to ship these products for virtually nothing. Like, we're paying China to ship their products here.
Yeah, because it's literally cheaper for us to send garbage over there, meaning reclamation, junkyard, metals, plastics, all that, ship it over there and have them send us back products. It's literally cheaper for us to do that because of the subsidies and everything that's been set up in play. And yeah, that's just one of the things that the powers that be have put on our plate that we had no understanding of. We didn't want it. We didn't ask for it, but they gave it to us. And because we can go to a Costco or a Sam's Club and buy a cheap item, some flashlights, a 4-pack of flashlights for $5, we don't complain, right? But that's changing now also.
Yeah. Isn't it exciting though to go buy from your neighbor? I mean, really, like so we live I'm a big city guy. Like, I love LA, but I ended up in, I was here visiting when the riots happened, the George Floyd riots.
Oh.
And felt led to stay, but also had great reasons to stay. But now we don't live in downtown Minneapolis anymore. We live in this town called Northfield. And like, it is stuck in 1990. And it's like the Leave It to Beaver vibe as far as, it's cool and hip, but it's community. And it's a lot of small business owners. And this whole town just looks out for the town, looks out for the local businesses, and looks out for each other. And I'm like, this is life. Like, why can't we do this everywhere? Because don't we all want to feel safe? And don't we all want to feel loved? And don't we all want to feel like we have hope? And how challenging is that really, to be able to do those basic things?
Yeah. And I've seen over the last few years. So I was, like I said, I was a blue collar worker. I put my boots on in the dark, took them off in the dark, and did that 6 days a week. Sometimes my family was asleep when I went to work, and sometimes they were asleep when I got home. And all those years of doing that and watching the value of my dollar go down, and watching the things that they have done to the worker has made me just want to understand, learn, and find out why all of these things have happened to us. Like my granddad, I'm a Gen Xer, and my granddad was a greatest generation World War II veteran from the Great Depression. And I watched him retire with a pension and did okay, did pretty decent. He was a middle-class man that had a decent life. And then I watched my dad step down. He was a machinist. He worked every day of his life too. And he had less than my grandfather. And I saw his life getting harder than my grandfather's life was. And then I saw where I was going as a young man. And as I was working, I'm like, I'm working my ass off. I'm working 14-hour days, 6 days a week, more than my grandfather, more than my dad. And I'm making less and getting less than they were able to do. My pension is, I don't have a pension. I had this 401k that looked like a 104k, and it was getting worse and worse. And then I started looking into some of the facts in media, some of the real people that were producing real content. And they were showing numbers of things like, hey, look at worker productivity. And over the last 20 years has hockey sticked and gone to the moon. You guys are working harder than ever. And wages have crashed, and pensions and retirement savings have crashed. And the quality of life for the average American worker has crashed. And I just wanted something better and wanted to be involved in something better. And first of all, it was a mindset, so changing my mindset and changing my way of life and what I was doing to myself, was the first step. And then just becoming aware, and then being very careful where I got my information from.
Yeah.
Because that, I think, is the key to a lot of the problems that we have today. Because it's so easy to just get misinformed, people just love to be misinformed, it seems. It's like a fantasy to them. It's like, the more conspiracy, the better. The bigger the lies, the better. Let's just bring it, let me get behind it. And I don't understand that today. What's that phenomenon mean to you today that you're seeing?
Well, I was just, when you were talking, I was thinking about how when we first launched our nonprofit media organization, and our whole point was to work with the voiceless. That's all we wanted to do. And we got into the anti-trafficking space.
Mm.
And, and there's a lot of truthers in that space too, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of TV people, because it's a popular subject. You talk about human trafficking, you're going to get some likes, and you're going to get some attention, and you're going to be called the brave warrior. And hey, good for you for supporting the anti-trafficking. Like that, it all comes with it. And we got to go to some events, and I want to be careful how I word this, not to be shady, just again want to be somewhat respectful. But we got to see behind the curtain, and a lot of the people that you see on TV, we got really close to some of the bigger names in the anti-trafficking space, only to find out that they're trafficking. And that was a really rough spot for us, because it's almost like being catfished. I've been catfished. It's a fun story. It's actually twice. Oh God, I'm a sucker. Anyway, and I have hope. Like, I have hope. So like, I'm like the perfect guy to catfish, right? I mean, I've learned discernment since, but I've learned hard lessons. But no, like even Jessica, like it wrecked her. It wrecked me, because we were all up in it. And at that time, I was an evangelist. So like, I'm in the church, and then prayer language church. And I know you talked to me about like the propaganda and the conspiracy, but like, the conspiracy is all around you, whether you want to realize it or not. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everything we've been told is a lie, but what's the truth? Have no clue. Like, even I was an evangelist in the Pentecostal church, and I'm not stepping on anyone's faith at all. My faith is still my faith. It's just different, and it's my own now. But you talk about conspiracy. Like, there's a conspiracy of man being able to heal and grow legs, and there's some of the stuff that happens in the church too that we were a part of. And so that is also ties into the trafficking space. And so learning that some of the high profile ministers are wrapped up in that crap too. And so what's really scary is that most of the conspiracies that I know of are true, However, what's true about them is not what people think. So in other words, it's like, okay, we know there's pedophiles, we know there's some evil people, but the people that we're looking at and blaming are being looked at and blamed for a reason, because we're being told to look there. And no one has any secret decoded information that's floating around on social media, because it would be shot down if it was real. And that's a really hard reality that even today, me knowing this, I still look at it. I still go, ooh, I get excited, like, oh shit, something great's gonna happen. Like these bad actors are gonna go to jail, and the lizard people are gonna go away, and the Wolfman, and like Wolfman had nards after all, and whatever. Like just like how there's I don't know what's true, and so like how much energy do we really need to give this stuff when there's another way to be involved in media and entertainment in a way that's enriching, in a way that elevates other people, and we can just turn a blind eye to this nonsense. Like if it's not feeding our spirit in a good way or feeding our souls, what are we really doing?
Exactly. Exactly my point these days is like if you're not uplifting, if you're not providing positivity, if you're not helping the cause, if you're not being part of the solutions, then what are you doing? Why are you dragging yourself through bad alley after bad alley after bad alley? What is it that you're seeking? You're not going to find truth there. You're going to find truth in opening up and trusting other human beings and allowing that to reciprocate. And I think it's a one big thing that because of all of these conspiracies and because of all this, we have a hard time trusting one another anymore. I've been talking last month or so about a book I read a long time ago, and it was called The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. And it's really about the mathematics of trust and how giving and receiving that trust develops relationships, develops communities, and is the backbone and the foundation under which we all operate as communities. And I don't see people giving trust anymore to folks. It's everybody everybody doesn't trust each other anymore. And I try to be the guy that doesn't do that. I try and give everybody enough rope to hang themselves and look at the good in that person and see what usefulness they have either in my life or in this community or whatever. And if they do things that are questionable or whatever, be an example, say something to them about it maybe. But public roastings and all of this weird stuff that goes on, and the backbiting and conspiracy theory throwing at people, I don't think it's helpful. I think that we need to have, because when I sit down with another human being, and then it's weird because of this 2D internet life that we all live now, we can get on and talk to everybody anytime, anywhere, right? But in my world, where we didn't have cell phones when I was younger, it was communication. You sat down with somebody and people didn't say the things or act the way they act on the internet in person like they do today. It's confounds me. It's kind of I lose my bearing out here, because it's like, wait a minute, in person you wouldn't say that to me. I've never had any human being sit down and say these things to me in person when we've sat down mano a mano and talked and spoke from the heart and looked into each other's eyes and had a conversation. Because usually when I've sat down with human beings, no matter what religion or race or political background they have, we agree on about 90% of things. And then there's about 10% of our own bullshit that we just can't accept about each other,
And it's always something. It's something silly that I don't think that we normally would have cared about before. But because we see it in front of our face as if we're supposed to care about it, then we do. Like I care about it now because my neighbor does, or whatever it may be. That's a strange thing to me. Like I hate social media. I love Twitter or X, but I hate social media. And I would like X more if everyone had to show who the hell they were. Because we should have accountability for what you say. Like, I'm not for censorship at all. Like, I think that's part of the title of this episode.
Yeah.
Like, if you are a homophobic, racist douchebag, I want to hear all of it, because that way I know that I don't need you in my life.
I
But
know
if
where you're
you're
coming
calling
from.
me things under your breath, like that's a whole other thing. Like, I would rather know what I'm dealing with. Like, I can't wait till we have that telepathy thing, that chip. Just read each other's thoughts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I
That way we just know. Like, I would rather know.
Yeah, I always let my detractors speak. I always let my detractors or the people who have disdain for me or whatever speak. Or if they're speaking to me ill in public, whatever, speak. Go right on ahead. Please do so. Show me and everybody else who you are and what it is you're thinking or need to say. And then we'll deconstruct it later. And I'm not going to call you a name. I'm not going to, say you're right or wrong. I'm just going to give you my opinion on my feelings on what you're saying. And we get a lot of that out here. So I think that we all have to get a little better at trusting one another and learning about who people are. And that's why I like asking people their stories. Cause like, I didn't know you from Adam. You come on the show, our producers talk to each other, and we got to, let's have a conversation. We both look like we align when it comes to our bios and our channels and everything. And you sit in front of me and I'm like, okay, there's this astute looking guy, blah, blah, blah. But no, he's from my hood, man. He's from the streets of LA. Like he hung out under the same bridges as I did and ate ketchup packages and stuff like that, And that changes things, because that was a very important part of my life. That was a very traumatic, important, molding time in my life. And I share that with you now. And that's unique. Like, that's unique. Like, there's not a lot of homeless LA dudes that I run into. And, we have the same type of story where we've become successful and we've pulled ourselves out of those ashes. And we don't want to talk about the darkness. We don't want to talk about, what bridge or what park that we felt safest at that night, or how scared we were some nights and how cold we were, or how hot we were, or how hungry we were, or how downtrodden we felt, or how much drugs we had to do. We don't want to talk about all that stuff. But I know, and now we have that connection, and I think that that's why we need to understand more about the people that we're dealing with versus just coming at them because we don't like an angle they took, or something they said, or something that somebody else said they did, or somebody else told somebody else they did this. And I don't understand that. I don't know why we do that as humans. I mean, I guess I do know why. It's just human nature, but I'd like to break through that and try and teach people a little more discernment and trust one another a little more. And hey, don't expose yourself. Like you said, you and I have something else in common. It's young abuse as children when we were younger, and you don't have to, give everybody the opportunity to do something horrible to you or wreck your finances or your family or hurt you physically or whatever.
Yeah.
But you do need to trust human beings again. You do need to be able to trust human beings and try and create a relationship, or create, some type of a reciprocity amongst each other, whether it's, hey, we need to, we're a little far away from each other on a lot of things. So let's just agree upon the things that we do agree upon, and let's leave all that other stuff alone, because neither one of us have the right answers at this point,
Yeah, that reminds me of my friend Martin Lopez wrote a book. His is the curiosity theory, but then there's another book called The Power of Curiosity. And they are great examples, I think, of a good approach to life is curious. So it's easy to look at somebody and go, they're twitching. And like, what are they on drugs? Or to take more of a curious approach of just being sincerely curious to understand why somebody is the way that they are, or why they talk. Like, it's okay to ask questions to understand, because a lot of us rush to judgment. There's no curiosity when you've already made up your mind on what that situation is without understanding. It's easy to judge gay people. there's a lot of hate on Twitter towards gay people. And what always bothers me about that is, some people can say that you're born gay, and that can be true. I don't know for a fact, but sometimes people can become gay because they were molested over and over and over and over again. And the only way that they could find peace around what had happened to them was to find a way to try to reframe those situations to make it a healthier thing, to where I'm not scared of that. I'm not as scared of men anymore. There's a lot of different scenarios, but the point is that we don't understand. We don't understand that woman may have been abused brutally. And so, and culturally, we don't understand different cultures, but we judge it, but we don't understand. But we have things that could be judged too. And so this curiosity approach is almost like a spirit of gratitude. I think to be sincerely curious about people, you have to have a grateful spirit, because you're grateful for what you have. So you don't need anything more for yourself. So now it's just curiosity about other people, and you get to feed them that way. And so anyway,
I'm going to check out Martin's book, Power of Curiosity.
Right? He's a great, I know him personally. And he, when I first turned my life around, I had little angels that popped in my life, and he was one of those people, and it was for a season, but the impact that he had on me was pretty significant. I'll always be grateful for him. So, and he's a real dude. He's just a genuine real dude. And so I can recommend his book.
Nice. Very good. Well, great way to end that whole portion of it. We're running close to end of time. Hopefully you could stay a few minutes extra, because I want to talk blockchain crypto with you a little bit and find out a little bit about what you know. Then I want to read a little something to you, and then I want to have a little commentary on it. What is your understanding of blockchain and crypto in general? This isn't a gotcha. There is no we bring everybody in, from the person who doesn't know anything about blockchain to people who are developers and everybody in between. So we're not that type of community where we're going to, blast on you, but just so that we know, what your knowledge is on blockchain. Give me a little bit about what you understand.
Okay. So my first introduction to the blockchain or Bitcoin really was, Silk Road. So I won't go into why I was there a long time ago, but I remember how frightening it was to go, so if I give them my money, what is this Bitcoin thing? And it's going to give me what back? It was really terrifying for me to buy what I was buying in the way that I was doing, because I didn't understand crypto. So where I really started to understand the blockchain was from more of a futuristic singularity, Internet of bodies, smart cities, Internet of everything. From that standpoint, everything's connected. That's what I understand about it. The ability to have a prison planet also with the blockchain is very possible. I understand the horror story sides of it better than I understand the positive, wonderful benefits. So, because I don't want to talk about anything negative, I would like to learn about the positive benefits of it and how we can play an active role to bring some goodwill and serving and good energy into that world, because it's inevitable. It's going to be a very important world, and we want to play a positive role in it.
Yes. Well, it's exactly what you said, and good. I'll kind of, let me see if I can fill in some of the gaps for you and make this real easy, because that's what I do. I know enough to get myself in a lot of trouble when it comes to the technicals, but I do understand what this means on a macro level, and what it means to the world, and what it means to people like me, guys that have been working their whole lives trying to make a better place for their families and survive. I live in Southern California my whole life. It's been hard to survive out here. I kept my wife at home, and we lived off a single income, bought a home, raised 3 kids, the whole thing. And yeah, but I had to have a side gig and I had to work 14-hour days in order to survive.
Oh
out
man,
here.
kudos to you. That is not easy.
It's
No
not.
way.
It's
Oh
not.
my God.
And if it wasn't for the difficulty of it all and what I wanted my life to look like, I would never be in this place today that has changed my life for generations completely. So let's get into the again the social constructs of this thing and what this was supposed to mean. The white paper that Satoshi put out, the inventor or the supposed inventor of Bitcoin, was that this was a way to have a peer-to-peer transaction over the internet without an intermediary, safely and securely, and the power was belonging to the people, not the banks, the governments, and the 1%. So it was like, wow. When I read that in 2014, I was like, man, I'm hooked. This thing can really change the world. And so that's what Bitcoin did. It was that transaction, that first transaction. So it proved a concept that, hey, we can do this outside the bank. And then there was another crypto that was developed that was called Ethereum. And Ethereum, you've probably heard of it, Ethereum. It was a new blockchain that allowed you to create other cryptos. So now, instead of just having this crypto and a blockchain, you had a blockchain that allowed you to plug and play functions and make your own cryptocurrency. And that's when the floodgates opened up for the PT Barnums and all the shenanigans to flow into crypto from about 2014, 13, all the way until about 2018, 19 is when they all had their heyday, because they figured, hey, and you and I both know there's nothing new under the sun, that all of the old shell games that governments and financiers have been playing throughout time are still the same games being played today. It was easier for them to do it in crypto because they can come in here. There was no regulatory. The cat was away and the mice were all playing. And they created all of these scams and rug pulls and ICOs and all these weird products that just scam people out of their money. So 90%, 99% of crypto is garbage. Garbage. The other two things that are solid were just proofs of concept. So Bitcoin proved the concept of the transaction, that we can take that power away from the banks and give it to the people. Ethereum proved that we could program this shit to do better shit and act like our money, but be better because we could program it and we can know in advance what the inflation rates are going to be.
Wow.
There is no Fed manipulating it. We can inflate it how the code says, and we can all know that this is how it's going to inflate because the code is immutable and has been launched, and here it is. So we've made better money. And our founder says our imaginary made up internet money is better than the government's made up imaginary internet money. And that's the truth. It's weird, but it's the truth. Now, during all this, the SEC has come at all of us. The SEC has not put any rules for us to run by. They have said we are going to govern by authority. We're not going to regulate you. We aren't going to give you rules to follow. We are going to regulate by enforcement. So we're coming after all of you. I was subpoenaed 4 times by the SEC. They failed every attempt, and they have not been able to put anything on me or anything that we've done. They've just been trying. And I want to read a letter. So our founder, who founded the cryptos that we've been promoting to people out here, also had to fight the SEC. And his lawyers wrote this letter. And I want you to hear this because this is going to mean something to you real quick. It says blockchains. Now, this is a letter to the judge. It says blockchains are the world's first and only immutable digital public ledgers, publishing messages, literature, art, commerce, computer code, and more. Richard Hart, who is our founder, is an innovator in blockchain communications technology who has been interested in its ability to benefit society since he first learned about Bitcoin in 2011. The complaint alleges that Mr. Hart developed 3 open source blockchain communication software programs, Hex, PulseChain, and PulseX. The complaint alleges that Mr. Hart and somehow the programs themselves violated the federal securities laws by selling so-called crypto asset securities and purportedly misusing about 3% of the offering proceeds associated with the other 3 software programs. So basically what they're saying is that blockchain is speech. Computer code has already been called speech. And for them to regulate it, try and regulate it out of existence would be to violate our First Amendment rights.
Wow.
And so that's how they're going at the SEC right now, is like blockchain is our publishing right. To take away the power of the pen is even worse than taking away the power of your voice. So that's how they're actually going to fight the SEC now. The blockchain is actually freedom of speech.
The government controls the ecosystem.
Yo, whoever came up with that legal strategy is a genius.
I'm going to send you these. There's more to this letter. There's 3 different pages to it. I'll send it to you so you can read it. And it's really interesting at how they're approaching this. Because we know that, like you said, the Web3 space, people are putting up their art, their works, their videos, their content, and they're publishing it to the blockchain. And the Web3 space is ready to go. Like, people are ready to publish on the Web3 space. However, there hasn't been a blockchain yet that can support it. Ethereum is too expensive for projects to launch on. It's too they haven't been able to scale it properly, so it's too congested. It's not scalable until they fix it. I'm not saying Ethereum won't fix it, but they probably will, but they haven't yet. And then all the other chains have been down month by month. They go down, and they haven't. And they're ghost chains. They don't have anything over there other than their own chain. So the chain that we were part of the launch of, this community was proponents of the launch, is called PulseChain. And it is a fork of Ethereum, meaning it is an exact copy of Ethereum. Everybody's coins from the Ethereum network were duplicated over onto PulseChain, which made it not a ghost chain. Everybody's coins are over here now. And it operates fast, secure, and for micro pennies. So now Web3 can exist. People can come and bring their projects to PulseChain and build Web3 products on it, build Web3 universes on it, put their content up. We've got groups of community members already gathering and helping people put NFTs up that are storybooks, that are works of literature in an NFT form. So it's happening. It's starting. DeFi is here, and we're the first community to actually bring it. And we have more streamers. In fact, we had a community member named Maddie All In, and he has a stream that he does, and he and I have been streaming together, from the beginning of this. And he did what was called the Hex Conference, which is the other coin that we're all very interested in. And he had a world record just the other day of streamers. He had over 200 streamers at one time streaming about this crypto community. And that's how big we've been growing. We made a movie. It's called The Highest of Stakes.
Yeah, I checked that out. Like, I saw some of it today.
Oh, cool.
Well done. Like the media kit that is put together is gorgeous. Like, whoever does the web design, you guys like knock it out of the park, for real.
Thank you.
Like, for real.
Thank you. I co-starred and produced the film. So I was in it, and we produced it, me and my partner and the rest of the community and some others. And Muse Entertainment, who's won 5 Emmys, they actually produced did the production of the film itself. And yeah, it was a 2-year project, but it's the first in-depth look at a crypto community, but on the positive side of things, versus murder, rape, lying, cheating, stealing, running away with the money, ended up in, another country, murder for hire, drugs, and all that stuff. That's what they want. They want to see that kind of stuff. In fact, I just saw that they launched another BitCon, is another documentary that just came out, and they put it up on Netflix.
I just watched it.
Yeah. And
I just watched it.
but they wouldn't put our movie up. They said it's a great movie. We loved it. It doesn't fit our narrative. So the media companies, even these media companies today, don't want to hear a feel-good story or and ours isn't a puff piece. It's not a puff piece on us. It actually kind of makes the community look a little, look a little weird. We look a little, misfitty. But and the detractors have good points. Hey, what about this? What about that? So the film is done to where it's both sides of the story. And but they didn't want to hear that. They didn't want to see an average film about crypto and a good look at crypto. They wanted murder for hire. They wanted somebody running off with all the money. They wanted somebody going to prison. It wasn't nefarious enough.
Have you not submitted it to film festivals?
Oh, we've been submitting it everywhere. Yeah,
Oh.
Like I said, they won 5 Emmys, so they know the process of all the stuff that they're going through.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed. I didn't know that. I apologize.
Yeah, they're the Muse Storytelling is the company. They've done a few big films, and they've won 5 Emmys. And and then we just launched this on video on demand and streaming on demand over the last like 3 months.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Have you messed with immersive media technology at all?
Are you talking about the AI experience stuff and
more like touch the screen, like being able to buy in real time, interactive chat?
Web3 stuff. Well, we've seen it, we've played with it. We've actually, I was working on a couple of projects globally that we were going to try and bring marketplaces to Web3. But we didn't have a blockchain that could support it until just recently, the last few months. So that's where it is. So you need a blockchain to operate. You're going to need so there's some things going on out there with a lot of this mining hardware. You're going to need computer power to have that immersive experience. So in order to put these things on and run through your day, and experience an interactive Amazon where you're sitting in the room that you're going to buy or whatever, you've got to have that computing power, and you've got to have a blockchain that can support it. And that's what we're here to tell everybody is like, hey, true DeFi and a real blockchain is here with PulseChain, and Web3 projects can get started now. So we're hoping to see more Web3 projects come in, as time goes on.
This is very exciting.
Yeah,
really exciting for you. I'm excited for you all. I want to learn more. I want to know how I can get involved.
Well, that's what we'll keep in touch. We'll do each other's shows and we'll teach each other. I want to learn about media and how to improve our media coverage and what we're doing, and we'll teach you crypto. If you watch the whole movie, there was a professor's name was Lamont Black, and Lamont Black was the detractor of the film. He did not believe in what we were doing in crypto. He didn't understand the use case of it. And through the whole film, he was like, this is just nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. Where does the money come from? How does this work? And through the film, he got hammered on about it, and he just didn't get it. Well, the film was done, and the film was just getting ready to launch, and he became part of the release parties and all that. And he started, being asked on streams of the community, and we talked to him, and he started like, well, wait a second, I didn't understand that before. And before we knew it, this gentleman blossomed into a 100% advocate for the cryptocurrency itself. And he is on Twitter today, Lamont Black. In the film, he is teaching at his university the Hex ecosystem and what it means and why it's important and the value of it, versus he was a detractor in the film and now he's one of us. We call ourselves Hexicans, and he is a Hexican now.
Well, I'm really big into hexatide peptides, so that's
another thing we could talk about is health. Cool.
Hey, I'm really, this is cool. Like I'm I think what you guys are doing is so neat. And in the community, just from what I can tell so far, again, just seems like a cool group of people. So
Yeah.
this
Well,
is neat. Like I'm very, very encouraged. I was, I mean, it first of all, it's so foreign to, because I mean it's new to me, right? And so I'm looking at it and there's this language and a code about it
mm,
that makes no sense. But underlying all of that is this group that seems to really care about supporting each other. Like it's obvious on social media, the communities that you all have and how it all works together. Like that takes work and it's a pain in the butt. So the fact that everyone's doing it, it's very consistent and everyone's like seems to have each other's back. Like that's good marketing for you all.
it is. It is. And it's worked well for us. And there's times we've had challenges as a community. We've been backbiting and infighting and that kind of stuff. And we've had people come and go and people try and scam the community or bilk from it or, do these types of things. But usually the bad actors always end up going away. And the people, some people might get hurt by them or whatever, but we just always try and protect one another and watch out for these things and just try and do better. And all that usually goes away.
Yeah.
So yeah. And you know what, the community will tag in a couple things in Twitter and they'll bring you in with open arms. I promise you, you're going to love it. It's an incredible thing when we try and onboard somebody or bring somebody into the community who especially has some clout, has some, something to add, some value to bring. So yeah, we'd love to teach you about, what this next iteration of crypto is going to look like, this true DeFi space, because there's going to be a split right now. There's going to be CeFi and DeFi. The centralized finance is the banks are coming in. They're going to own it. They're bringing trillions of dollars to this marketplace, and they're going to try and get their hands around as much of it as possible so that they can take control. But the DeFi space is something different. Decentralized finance means that they don't have control of it. It's not in the centralized exchanges. It's not being advertised. It's ours. We own it. The people own it. And we're able to utilize it, build on it, grow our media, grow our finances, grow Web3, marketplaces, all of this stuff. It's giving the power back to the people in one way. Now, this also leads me to think that we can actually circumvent some things like Citizens United if we can beat them at their own game by providing syndicates that have enough money to actually go up against some of these nefarious rule makers in the lobby shops and try and get our government back. Because we know it's going to be an almost impossible task to get a constitutional amendment to get rid of Citizens United. Almost an impossible task. But we can fight fire with fire and use our money and our power and the masses of people, if we can bring them to this, to win our cause.
Yeah, essentially what you guys have is an underground railroad.
There you go. There you go.
And that's a very exciting, because that is going to that's needed to be able to do what's needed to do, which doesn't need to be mentioned right now.
Yeah,
but
it's the power that we need.
Yeah,
it's the power that we need.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to keep you much, Joshua. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you. I think that you and I are going to definitely have some more conversations.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're busy right now, but if you don't mind, I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody. Turn this off, and then if you'd stick around for like 5 more minutes, would that be cool?
Sure.
All right, I'll put you down in the green room. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Take care. All right, everybody. So real quick, some housekeeping. SJ, do you have the dates and stuff set up? Okay. So anyway, this month, the 27th in Southern California in Orange County in Irvine, you can go to PulseChainTour.com, and we are having our kickoff party for the PulseChain Tour, and that is going to be at Hexotic Rentals in Irvine. So love to see you all there on the 27th. Go there and get your tickets and get yourself signed up and all that stuff. Also on Wednesday this week, I am going to be speaking with Dr. Shiva. He is a presidential candidate, and I'm real excited to talk to him and see how his campaign's going. I've seen him on a few other podcasts lately, and I'm really interested in talking to him. So with that, don't forget Friday Night Hangout. The effing Hangout is your place. Everybody's welcome to come on in and speak their piece. Only stream that does that, just opens up and lets people come in, whether they're naked or doing weird stuff or just whatever. It's, we've always got something exciting going on. Anyway, all right, everybody, thank you so much for coming and supporting us. Appreciate you. And we'll see you on Wednesday. Why is Hex better than Bitcoin? Well, first of all, it's the fundamentals of the code. Fundamentals of code are better than Bitcoin's fundamentals. The inflation model is better than Bitcoin's inflation model. The staking feature is better than a mining feature. It's new tech versus old tech. It's decentralized versus centralized. Okay, wait a second. I got one more thing to do before I end it. Vegas. We have in March 3rd through the 9th, or March 6th through the 9th, so 36-9, we are going to be in Las Vegas on the PulseChain tour. If you want to be at the Vegas party, you have to get your room reservations for the block rates done by February 2nd, right? Am I right? Shake your head, SJ. Yes. So February 2nd is the day. We have to have those rooms booked out and blocked in order to get the cool rate. So with that, thanks everybody. We'll see you in Vegas. Come and see us in March 6th to the 9th, Vegas. Adios. Why is Hex better than Bitcoin? Well, first of all, it's the fundamentals of the code. Fundamentals of code are better than Bitcoin's fundamentals. The inflation model is better than Bitcoin's inflation model. The staking feature is better than a mining feature. It's new tech versus old tech. It's decentralized versus centralized. Yes, all of those things